I would not say most, but some of the leaders, they have this thought process of, I know it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it all. It is my way or highway kind of a situation. And that's where the employees today, they want to have that empowerment, that independence to give their ideas, implement their ideas, rather than just implementing what they have been asked to do. So they don't want to be any more order takers. They want to be the decision makers.
Listen to the vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I'm very happy to welcome Mr. Rahul Sharma here with me. He is an author, he is a speaker, and a leadership coach. And so we're going to get to know him, have a great conversation. Let's kick it off. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Rahul is a person who believes in the power of mind talk. And I believe that where there is a will, there is a way. And being into leadership and learning and development for almost 2 decades, it has helped me to help others. And that is what my motto of my life is. So I get inspiration when I help others, when I see others getting success. That's my inspiration.
So what exactly do you do to help people change their mindset? Because like for so many, we are, number one, probably our own worst enemies. And you listen to all the experts, you read all the books, and somehow things never seem to change. How do we change those things?
So Kyle, things will not change unless and until we want to make a change. It's all within us. And for me, the first thing I encourage my learners or my coaches is to have a belief in themselves. They have a power to do something that they have never imagined. So believing in themselves and cultivating the habit of positivity in their life is something I believe that will take them to the next level. Because in today's world, we are filled with negativity all around. Whether it is a news, whether you open your phone, there is something or other is happening. So we need to cultivate that habit of positive thoughts in our mind, which in turn allow us to have a positive mindset.
Like for me, I I, I know I should be more positive in thinking about myself. Um, I'll tell you what, I'm a very persistent person. I continuously, even when I fail, I try and I try and try, but then there gets that point where I'm like, is it just me? Am I cursed? What's going on? How do you get yourself more confident in yourself?
So I would, in that situation, it is also important for us to have surrounded by people who gives us positivity, surrounded by people who can challenge us and can bring that belief back in our own self about positivity. And by positivity, I'm not saying that 24/7, 365, you need to be positive. Yes, if you can, amazing. But we are human beings, we cannot have that every now and then. So there will always be a moment where we are in our low life. And when we are in that moment, it is important for us to have a conversation with someone who believes in you, who believes in the power that you have. So connect with those like-minded people who can get that positivity out of you.
Now, there's going to be some folks out there. I was part of this group that you have this continuous circle of friends who don't seem to want to move forward. Those guys that you used to hang out with back in high school that like to, party and, get drunk, get high. And here we are. I mean, I'm in my 50s and I still have those friends who think they're still in high school. People find it hard to get away from those kind of folks, but that's pretty important if you want to be successful, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is one thing I learned from my father. He used to tell me that you need to surround yourself with people who are better than you, who are more knowledgeable than you, who are more inspiring to you. Because that's when you will be always on your toes, learn from them, and you will never be in the comfort zone that, hey, you are the one who know it all. So that would be my input, that surround yourself with people who are better than you, who are inspiring to you, and someone from whom you can learn. If you are the only person in the group who is teaching to everyone, then probably it will be a little challenging. So if that is the situation with our learners, then they need to regroup and find more people in their inner circle so they can learn and they can get better.
Do you work with people on a one-to-one basis, or are you like more of the public speaker type?
So at the moment, I'm only working with the corporation that I'm working. I'm working for a corporate.
Mhm.
And apart from that, I do public speaking engagements. And then if there are people who are connecting with me through social media, I'm providing them advice and support.
What's the biggest company you've worked for?
I've been only with two companies so far in my career. The company I'm working is my 19th year. I'm very proud of all the support that I got in this organization. It is this company who had made me versus the other way. So I'm fortunate to get all the great experience that I got in this 19 years.
Oh, wow. And you went to school over in India and here in the United States, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I did my schooling as well as my master's in India, and then I came to States for doing my double master's.
What's the difference between school there and school here?
One of the major difference is the environment. For example, the college that I went to for both my bachelor's and master's, it was just one 5-story building, and that was it. Here, my campus was just like a mini town. There were so many things for me to explore. The environment was different. Plus, the education system here, I noticed it was more group based. It was more presentation based rather than a paper pencil. So it makes you a person. So your personality is being exposed, and you become a better individual. That's one of the major difference I saw between in India and in States.
Why do you think there's more of a drive for people that come here from other countries to be successful as compared with a lot of the lazy folks in this country?
For me, my drive, Kyle, was when I came here, that point in time in my career, I was kind of done with my job. I was not enjoying. I was exploring different job opportunities. And then I realized that instead of going for another job, why don't I invest in my own self? And that's how I appeared for those exams like GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, and got here. The field that I was in, which is organization development, was back then it was not as in the stream in India where it was in the States. So I came in for more growth, more prosperity, and to have a different life here.
And I'll have to say, a lot of the people that I've talked to that come from other countries, it seems like the focus is really high on education over there, where
Mhm.
not so much here.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say it's just that the ethic, the work ethic's not even as good as you see in like Japan and China and India, and that's a shame.
So I would say, so now my kids are studying here, and now it is a little challenging for us to give them the same parenting that we got.
Hmm.
But what I would say about this country is the exposure is huge, and the focus is on all over development. All it's just not on academics. So, like today, I mean, every single day in the evening, I'm busy with my kids taking them to some classes or the other. They are into two different sports every season. They are learning, and overall, their personality is growing when they are into different fields instead of just focusing on the books or just on education. So that is the plus point I see. The overall development is much better here.
Yeah. Well, I'll say when my kids were in school, it seemed like they were more focused on how to take that test at the end of the year for the what do they call it, the
Grades.
oh yeah, it's not so much for what they learned from each subject, but how to your academic achievement tests or whatever. They spent more time learning how to take that test than they did actually learning math and reading and all this. Very annoying to say the least. They really just started doing those tests. I guess I don't know, maybe in junior high, somewhere around that area. And but it's not like it is now where it's all about taking the test.
Yes, yes. I believe it's also about the concepts. So if your concepts at the initial stage are clear, then you can use it in the future. But if you are just cramming things just to clear the test, then it will be challenging.
Yeah. Now, you've written how many books now?
I have written 3 books,
Books?
and the book that is an upcoming is my first print book. The previous books was one ebook and one I co-authored with multiple authors. So this is
And
my first individual print book.
and that's kind of all stems from you wanting to help other people, right?
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct.
So why this love for wanting to help others?
So over the last 2 decades in my role, I have experienced meeting with many individuals, primarily the college graduates, and I have been involved into hiring as well as training. And I experienced that when we hire them, we saw a lot of potential that they will do great. But over a period of time, in the first 6 months, somehow things does not go right, and either they quit on us or we quit on them, and people are not able to unleash their full potential. And when I wanted to move out in the consulting phase, I realized that if I can help others to realize their full potential, it will be good for themselves, it will be good for the community, good for the society. So that's the whole thought process of how I can unlearn the learnings that I have, pass on to others, so that the mistakes that I made, I can teach them from those mistakes, those learnings.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest problem in corporate America with our leaders in having a more successful business? I mean, you see companies that have been very successful through the years, and then all of a sudden they start to drop off. And to me, it's got to do more with the leadership than a lot of the underlings. What do you think is the biggest problem?
I see people management is one of the biggest problem in management or in the leadership. And sometimes we focus too much on the numbers and less on the people. That's where I see challenge starts happening. And I believe that if your motto is to keep your customers first, put your employee first.
Mm-hmm.
If you put your employee first, automatically they will take care of the customers. So the people management, in my opinion, is one of the biggest challenge that the corporate world is facing.
I tell you, from when I used to work for the city, I think the biggest problem was ego, where you have this leader who thinks, so you can't do anything without me. Smarter than everybody. Everything I say is the gospel. Where when I got into leadership, I paid more attention to what my employees were telling me. I mean, granted, I was in public works. Most everything I did was centered around, maintaining the water system, the sewer system.
Mhm.
And, I know how I've done things through the years, but I know things change. And the guy that's down in the hole doing the actual work is going to see things that I don't see.
Mhm.
If you run across problems like that in the corporate world.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would not say most, but some of the leaders, they have this thought process of I know it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it all. It is my way or highway kind of a situation. And that's where the employees today, they want to have that empowerment, that independence to give their ideas, implement their ideas, rather than just implementing what they have been asked to do. So they don't want to be any more order takers. They want to be the decision makers.
You get any pushback from these folks?
Yes, well, we do. And I'm seeing the change. Ray of hope is there, where the leaders are also investing in their own self. Earlier, there were not, once you become a leader, then it's something like you have learned it all, so you don't need to learn. Things are changing. And focus is there on empathy, how you empathize with people. Specifically, pandemic has taught many lessons to the corporate world, and how you believe in your people. If you believe in them, they can conquer the world. So, as a leader, we should be focusing on believing in our people, giving them opportunity to learn, giving them opportunity to grow, and take all the blames when things are going wrong, uh, and give all the credit when things are going great to the team. Sometimes I see other way around.
My God, I can't tell you how many times my boss, when things were going great, he was down there. See, I tell them what to do, and that's why they're doing so great. And soon as things start going downhill, it's like, well, I tried to tell them, but they're just not listening to me. When that's
Mhm.
not the case at all.
Right,
They,
right.
yeah, they tend to want to put more on people than what they really can handle.
Correct, correct. And so on that point, there are statistics that close to 90% of change management programs in most of the corporate world fails.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest reason from my perspective they fail is the communication, the lack of communication. When
Mhm.
we involve people, they are more receptive to change versus when you don't involve them. So there is this another saying that people resist change. And I believe that it's not people don't resist change, they are excited for change. The only thing they resist is when they are told to change. When you
Mhm.
tell them to do anything, that's where is the problem. But if they are part of change, if they are part of the process, then they will just embrace the change.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Uh, One of the things with my guys, they would give me their best. Um, but I also showed them a lot of respect. And we'd have our times, like especially during the summer,
Mhm.
where it'd be a dry summer. And so, with the heat, the the ground's drying up, it's cracking, you got pipes bursting all over the place. And we got our workforce reduced quite a bit from when I first started working there. And quite honestly, with the workload that we got, I was impressed at how well my guys stayed on top of things.
Mhm.
And my boss would call me in and say, "Hey, we've got all these tickets open, and we need to get all this work done." Okay, number one, you don't know what you're going to run into when you go out to work on a water line,
Mhm.
because not all of them are going to be the same. All the repairs are never going to be the same. Number two, we don't have as many people, as I said before. Uh, Number three, you're telling me we have a budget and I can't ask for guys to work overtime and this, that, and the other. We have to make do with what we have,
Mhm.
which sometimes guys are working with tools that weren't in the best shape and we couldn't get all the parts that we needed.
Oh boy.
All these factors are in, but I have to give my guys credit. They busted their butts to try to get work done.
Mhm.
But when you're getting told, hey, we need to get this done, we need to get these tickets down, blah, 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 blah. But then you're coming back to me and saying, well, such and such department over here needs help. We're gonna help them out. I'm gonna have to take one of your guys away and send them to the warehouse to go count inventory. And I mean, all these things are going on. How do they expect us to keep up with productivity when you're not giving me the resources that I need?
Mhm. It's a catch-22 situation when you want more, but you don't have the right resources. So it's important that in those situations, how you challenge your people and share with them that, hey, this is what we have, and this is what we are looking for, how we can make it happen. And 9 out of 10 times, we as a leader may not have a solution, but people will have a solution. They will find a solution which is a win-win. For example, I know there are companies post-pandemic when things were not going great, they had financial crisis. And one
Mhm.
of the leaders said that the only thing I would not do is lay off my people. But at the same time, I want to keep the company running. So what are some suggestions? So the suggestions came in that people said that we will voluntarily take unpaid leave.
Wow.
So now, if that decision, if that decision would have been made by the board, people may not take it seriously. But now this is coming from the employees. They are more receptive for these kind of changes when they are being part of that change. And with God's grace, things went well. They didn't have to lay off, and the company remain profitable.
Now, I have to have somebody explain this to me because I didn't get it. I think I kind of get it, but I I was telling you about us having a very busy summer
Mhm.
and my guys working, I mean, basically around the clock when I needed them. And when the summer ended and things started to slow down and we got caught up with everything, we always have a weekly meeting. And this one morning, I was like, man, these guys did so great. I want to do a little something to say thank you.
Mhm.
So I stopped at a donut shop, picked up some kolaches and donuts and things like that. Came in, I put it on the table and said, guys, dig in. This is all for you. I got up, did my little speech, thanking them for what they did and what have you. Well, when it was over, I got pulled into my boss's office and I got chewed out for it.
Mhm.
I was told, you got to stop praising these guys or they're going to stop working for you. Where did I go wrong?
In my opinion, you were right spot on. What you did is the thought process of your leaders that needs to get changed. Because I firmly believe that any small increment of uh, praise that we can give to our people, it boosts their morale, it boosts their productivity. Now, I have seen that some of the leaders, they think that why you are breaking the rules, this is not the norm of the organization. If you are doing it, probably 10 others will come to me and ask for this. And that kind of situations I have heard. And I believe that people don't work for the organization, people work for their leaders, people work for their managers. And that is what, when we are doing that, we are going that extra mile, we are showing that compassion towards people, we are showing the love to them. And I, from my perspective, you did not go wrong.
Good.
Uh,
And mind you, it came out of my pocket, not out of the city's pocket.
mhm. Right. Maybe it's just you never asked them that, okay, hey, I'm doing this. Probably that was the worry for them, that hey, he didn't took permission. I don't know.
Well, I think the problem was is that I thought of it before my boss thought of it. And he
Mhm.
probably got pissed off at me because I thought of it first.
Yeah, that
Well,
happens.
but once again, that's ego.
Mhm.
Instead of just thinking of how can we make these guys happy so they'll continue to work hard for us. To me, the more they got griped at, the more they would find reasons of saying why they couldn't do something.
Mhm.
But if I went out and said, look, guys, this is for me, I appreciate what you're doing for me, usually they can figure out a way to get things done.
Absolutely. 100% I agree.
What's the biggest problem you've ever faced in your all your years of doing this?
Uh, I would say one of the biggest it's not a problem, but a situation when we had to let go of someone without their fault. They are doing everything right. It's just the budget cut. It's just companies not doing great, and that's where I was not very comfortable in that kind of a situation. And I have tried my best to see how we can save the livelihood of people by absorbing them into different teams. Or if something cannot happen, then I used to help them in finding jobs outside by giving them the recommendations. That's the situation. From the problem perspective, uh, I would say that sometimes when people come to you, you don't have a solution. And when you don't have a solution, you are seeing that they came with hope and they are going back empty handed.
Mm,
It was very late in my career when I got certified as a coach. I learned that as a coach, your job is not to give answers to people. Your job is to work with them and find out the answers from within.
mm,
And that was a game changer for me, because before that it was very challenging. I used to get upset whenever I'm not able to solve someone's problem, or I'm not able to give them the advice that they are looking for. Post that, and it was in 2013 to be precise, when I got my coaching certification. I changed it as a different individual for better. Then I started asking all those right questions where people were able to give response and people were able to find a solution. So that was something made a difference in my life.
wow. Now, what's the biggest hurdle you ever had in your own personal life?
I would say one of the biggest hurdle was to let go smoking.
Ah,
I used to be a chain smoker, and for me to have a happy life, healthier life, I have to quit. And it took me almost 6 to 8 months of process to let it go. And I tried all the multiple means to quit. Didn't help, but it was the positive manifestation that I had, the positive mind talk I did, and I answered that question, that why I want to let it go. And once I was very clear on that why, the path was very easy for me. So that was one of the biggest challenge I faced, and I was able to overcome it, and I'm very proud of
alcohol and drugs for me, brother.
it. Mhm.
Something I was used to since I was 12 years old, and then
Mm.
giving it up. But thank God I did. I'm still alive today.
Proud of you, man. Proud of you.
What's your biggest goal that you want to achieve in your career right now?
My biggest goal is to spread the word of positivity to more and more people. help people to get what they deserve, what the potential they have. And the way I want to complete this mission, or at least work on the mission, is do more and more talking, share my knowledge through my public speaking engagement, through my book. And as I told you earlier, the inspiration to me is when people whom I'm working with, they become successful. When I hear their success stories, that's what makes me very, very happy.
And do you feel like there's something that makes you stand out above other coaches?
See, most of the coaches are pretty similar. They have a coaching certification, the experience. I would say maybe I'm very emotionally attached to my coaches. It's more than is about the commercials, and I get attached. And sometimes some may say that it's not good, but that is how I am. So more than the commercial, it is the challenge that the person is having, how I can help them to, and then I work with them to solve their problem rather than telling them only my way. So I don't have a silver bullet. I don't have a magic wand with me that I will solve everyone's problem. But what I have is the tools, that wisdom, and can enable them to solve their own problems. It is the coachee who will solve their problem. I will not solve the problem. I will just provide them the path or guide them.
And your newest book is coming out in May?
Yes, it's coming on May 9th, 2023. Yeah.
And if people want to get that book, where would they go?
So my book currently is on pre-order at Amazon. They can also log into my website, habitsformiracles.com. They will be able to see the purchase link.
Well, before we end this, do you have any kind of advice that you could give folks out there to at least get them on the right path?
The only advice I will give is realize the power of your mind. Your power is the greatest superpower that we have, the natural gift that the Almighty has given to us. And focus on positivity, focus on the people who are giving you positivity. You have a lot of desire to get what you want, and you can. You have that power. You have greatness in you. Just focus on your mind power and see the miraculous result that it will give to you.
All right. And lastly, are you on social media?
I am. I am on Insta, on Facebook, and LinkedIn as well.
Well, I happen to know that you are, and I'm going to be sharing those in the description so people can find you real easily.
Awesome.
And Rahul, man, thank you for bringing your wisdom here and sharing your time with me. I really, really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Kyle, for having me here. I really appreciate your time as well.
And I also want to thank all you folks out there. If you happen by the channel, this is your first time, well, I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. And for my regulars, you guys make it possible for me to do this, and I can't thank you enough. So until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network